Only 20 miles from the island.
Yeah,
Is it the northern island or the southern island?
yeah, the northern island.
Not
Okay,
20
and-
miles. That's 20 kilometers.
Did I say miles?
If you
Yeah, 20 kilometers.
Okay, where is this airport on
23
that island?
kilometers.
That's my next question.
What's that?
Where is this airport on this island, Soham?
Yeah, I didn't know they had an airport.
I
I think he
believe
was
this
just like-
is
Let's just read out this. Okay, the Taito Airport recorded 963.8 millibart with 68 knots 10-minute winds, 94 knot gust, 23 kilometers from the center, within the MOATs. Minami
it's on
Daito
the-
also report hurricane force winds at 976.5 millibart at 2030 C from JMA website.
And that there is also the voice of Kenneth, who is also on our analyst team. Welcome aboard to you as well. There's a lot of people here wanting to get their say in our room here, and also plenty going on in chat as well. We'll try and take your questions whilst we're on the air. They are quite important to us. So start your message with Force 13 all in text. Where should we go to next? Let's have
I have a
look here.
question for you, real quick, Nathan.
Okay.
Did you say that the island is 20 miles away?
About 20 kilometers it was.
It is actually 20 miles away, actually.
What?
Miles.
You sure?
I've got it
The
measured right here.
extrapolation, well, the extrapolation result will tell you everything, which where 20 miles isn't reasonable. That you see the 960 something, right?
Well, either way,
963.8.
it's a very small distance, though.
Hmm.
Yeah, you
It
need
sure
to
is.
be precise.
But Nathan, I was just talking about something, and could you bring up on the stream the JTWC cone by chance?
Yeah, we had that a moment ago. Let's just bring that back here. That latest JTWC cone, which is huge, by the way.
Yeah, but look at the wind field
Ugh.
once you get towards day 4 and 5. This typhoon is going to grow massively when it goes out of this stall, and I mean
Gonna go
massively.
bonkers.
So-
Wow,
So I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
all about momentum.
I remember looking 24 hours ago, and Taiwan was barely within the tropical storm force wind field, and look at it now, well within it.
Put it
Literally smack
into
in the middle of it.
put it into actual numbers. Its current highest radius is 70 nautical miles of tropical storm force winds. On the forecast there, that last point, it's 250 nautical miles, so it's 3.5 times larger at the end.
When you have
That's
this-
more,
crazy.
when you have to store, and the sea surface temperature drop, the upwelling leads to weakening. The weakening will lead to, well, despite weakening, the side will actually continue to broaden, and knows there's already currently an R replacement cycle, which already is broadening the system well, experience tells me
it's basically.
it's like double. Firstly, double, and then
I
when you
think,
store and weaken, you further double.
I think an easier analogy for this would be, conservation of angular momentum. The further away the winds are, the further away you are from the center of rotation, the slower you rotate. That's the same thing that's happening. The winds are the wind size is broadening, but it's getting slower. What's happening is the energy is distributing around the cyclone, redistributing itself. So in a sense, the storm itself isn't quite weakening per se. It's only getting larger in size, and that is actually more dangerous because that means a larger area, the land area, is under threat of tropical storm force winds and storm surge.
Yeah, indeed, that is actually the precise physical explanation of why it broadens itself because of angular momentum and relative humidity stuff, which is already proven in multiple researches that these factors can lead to a broadening of a tropical cyclone, just like what Hinam was forecasting.
Let's get some questions from viewers. Poppy Chew says, do you think this has any possibility of going over 200 miles per hour intensity?
No.
Hard doubt. Hard
No.
doubt.
No. Regarding
No.
gusts, wind gusts, strength potentially, but sustained winds, not even
No.
close.
It shall remain. It should remain below the 180 mile per hour threshold, and it's already
Unless
like
you
in
get
the peak.
unless you get reconnaissance aircraft in the storm, I don't think we are getting 200 miles per hour anywhere in the world right now.
Another comment. What's the peak
Broderick
of?
is already at its limit.
Yes.
Yep. What's the peak of this storm according to the GFS model right now?
No
Wow.
clue, but
Pressure
I
peak.
can get on
No.
Weatherville.
Pressure peak is still supposed to be after passing through the islands.
I would like to point out that
Got it on my
there's GFS. Well, there's no global model that the resolution can simulate this typhoon that well. It's too coarse for this tiny system.
What about the HRWF?
Good question.
The init isn't that good.
Yeah, it's kind
The
of
init
weenie.
is poor.
Were you asking what it's forecasting though in general? Because I'd like to know.
I'm very sure it's just forecasting that stall and just it weakening, then maybe intensifying a bit as it begins to jet northward toward the Korean Peninsula. But it's already made its strongest peak. I don't think what GFS has will play out, because it also starts to contend with the possible Fujiwara interaction with 13W.
Well, Akshay, you're showing us that run right now, actually.
Yeah, this is the HRWF run. Oh, HWRF, my bad.
I didn't want to correct you.
The model,
Sorry.
that model's been consistent.
This
This
one's going a bit
forecast.
bonkers with max sustained winds, or what is it now? About 154 miles an hour, which is high in Cat 4.
I think we can throw that one in terms of wind out the window, but
And what does it forecast?
Sorry, my. Oh, there we go. Okay. 154 miles an hour max sustained winds, and if I go on hurricane panel, got a minimum pressure of 917 millibars.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. Depending on how much time this has post IWAL replacement cycle, I don't think it's gonna be able to get back to Category 5. It has the favorable sea surface temperatures and heat content. I just don't think it has that time, with it potentially broadening out as it finishes the cycle. Intensification will essentially become a lot slower, and it won't be able to do what it did yesterday, and explosively intensify.
I just like to point out that well, when the storm is undergoing our replacement cycle, the intensity will likely to drop like 10 to 30 knots, like 20% from current intensity. With the
One
peak
thing-
at 150 knots,
One
and
thing-
then when you cut it by 20%, it's like low in Cat 4. And then when you re-intensify, I won't rule out Category 5 yet.
Hmm.
Like 155 forecast is okay, but when you forecast 155, you don't rule out Category 5. It actually still within a decent confidence. It'll re-intensify when it slows down. When the storm's undergoing our replacement cycle, there's a very common journal, intensity structure changes during hurricane our replacement cycle, written in December 2011. Sikorsky et al. 2011. It tells you that by default, an average weakening duration is 16 hours for replacing IWAL. Maybe longer for stronger system. I don't know. So you have 80 to 24 hour weakening and then with a 12 to 24 re-intensification trend. Which if we use T number concept to think about it, it is likely to offset, which would lead you to near T7 result. And then when you go further south, you have a lower tropopause temperature, which favors convection to be colder, that favor the solar atoms to go higher, which leads you to the higher result.
So more questions here as well. I might be missing some because things are quite busy over here. A question there, do we have a chance of this making its way to Taiwan or something like that, or will it just come near the Japanese islands?
I think that would
Depends.
be up to the Fujiwara. Essentially, whatever 13W does to shift Typhoon further west, I think Taiwan could see potentially typhoon conditions as this expands, as it swells and then just makes its northward back.
However, the core of the
See,
the core of the system should pass relatively to the far east or northeast of Taiwan. However, they can still experience some potentially dangerous conditions as Fujiwara
uh,
effect does take place.
Yeah.
what complicates matters is the
Wow.
existence of 13W.
It would
That could,
practically be rip
13W.
currents at that point.
13W essentially just makes
Yeah, no.
back.
Hurricane force winds unlikely in Taiwan. You need to be like 100 kilometers, so like 100 to 150 kilometers to experience hurricane sustained winds. Tropical storm force winds still possible, I'll say. You need to be incredibly close to Taiwan, but at the same time, it is incredibly close to Taiwan, like within 1 degree. The continental subsidizing air due to terrain will further disrupt the system, especially the western side, which makes hurricane
they,
conditions even more unlikely. The rough seas, tropical storm force winds, or showers is still possible, like early next week. That's what I would like to say.
So what we're getting from this really is that the formation of 13W, which is going to be a bit of an annoyance, especially for us forecasters, is going to be a big factor in what this storm does. And another question there from Dorian M. Will Hinamnor weaken due to its interaction with Tropical Depression Gardo? For those who don't know, that's the Philippine name for that new depression. What do you guys think?
Myanmar that's shearing 13W or Gardo, depending on what you call it, to absolute death. It's been having a hard time just in tightening up that circulation. Its convective activity is extremely sheared.
Sure, but with Gardo being in the way, is that going to weaken Hinamnor any?
I doubt it because Gardo won't be producing.
I will
altitude
say that we said the same thing with Vernon and 16S in March, and look what happened.
Yes, that's a good point.
But then again, I will say that 16S was a lot closer to Vernon than 13W is a lot further away from Hinam North.
Could we see mainland Japan get tropical storm winds later in the period? Absolutely.
Absolutely
Yes.
possible.
Western Kyushu, be on the lookout. Certainly.
Take a look at the latest JTWC forecast cone. You can actually see the extent of the tropical storm force winds, and it does expand quite remarkably.
Yeah, once you look back at that cone, you can see just how it might be able to make that leap. All right. Is it going to re-intensify after passing Okinawa?
Possible. Very much possible.
Probably.
Possible.
Yeah. When you
That's-
leave when you leave a stalling area, the sea surface temperature rises again. The 29 30 degrees sea surface temperatures is all the way up to 30 to 35 degrees north. which is pretty much extraordinary. With the earlier summer heat event, which leads to an incredibly high sea surface temperature, even higher latitudes. Um, Also, when you accelerate, you have higher winds at the right quadrant as well, which uh, pretty much server formula tells you that um, when a when a when the tropical cyclone moves faster, there's higher winds than those who are stalling. Yeah, uh, these are
In
major
addition
factors.
to that, we also have climatology for La Nina, which forces basically all the warm water in the Pacific to the western side. So the warm water continues to build up in the western Pacific. So it allows warmer waters to stay in higher latitudes than normal.
Indeed.
Okay. Let's see if there's some other questions here. There's a question about whether I've just lost that one again. But there was something about whether the team thought that it was going to become an annular storm, or whether it was. Obviously, I don't think it was, but whether it would become one, I certainly doubt that either.
Uh, so, firstly, there may be some annual characteristics earlier. That's because of not so high relative humidity, which restricted abandoning development as surroundings. Uh, but yeah, earlier it may have such characteristic, but may not exactly a particular perfect annular cyclone. But later on, as it